Well, welcome to a special Sunday night edition of a Steel Toe University Zoom call. We do these quite a bit in our mastermind group. Actually, we do them on a weekly basis in our mastermind group. But I want to just, first of all, welcome everybody who's on here tonight. Obviously, the point of this is to address some of the uncertainty that's happening in the world of contracting right now and in the world in general. So let me start off by saying that I'm not an expert on viruses and pandemics. Um, I am an expert at running a business through highs and lows, and I believe I have some good wisdom to impart. And ultimately, what we do at Steel Toe University is give contractors the opportunity to have access to a whole set of tools that you can employ to run your business better, smarter, understanding your numbers better, your financials better. But right now, I felt it was important not to wait until the middle of next week or the end of next week. I felt, let's do this on a Sunday night because there's a little bit of chaos going on and we want to try to bring some order to it. And I bet if you're like me, you want to feel that you're somewhat in control, like you have some of your own destiny that's in your hands. And I want to give you that hope tonight. And so, what we've done in a very short period of time is we've created a program called Entrepreneurship in Uncertain Times. This is a completely free program. We're not charging for this. We do have a private mastermind. We have written over 200 courses. We do have lots of education. Um, but this isn't a sales pitch tonight. I may mention it a time or two if you want more information to go there, but there is truly valuable free information. So at any time during this webinar or afterwards, you can go and select the link below or the link that will be included, and you can sign up for this program. And we're going to give you a couple free things here. We're going to give you a training that we've put together. It's all centered around the power of micro changes. It's a discussion we've had many times before, and it talks about how oftentimes we think that something really big needs to happen in our business to make a change. We're fearful, or we feel panic, or we feel uncertainty about what is happening, and we get scared and we think, should I expand and buy a new truck and hire a bunch of people? Should I shrink and get rid of a bunch of people? Should I go back to being a solo operator when I didn't have to worry about being a leader or a manager? And what this training teaches is that by making very, very small little decisions and shifts in your business, you can have a huge impact in your bottom line profitability. And right now, not just right now, in any given time, these are all the concepts we teach. But during a moment where we feel, are we on the verge of some crisis? Is there, something bigger is happening? It's going to be even that much more valuable for us to get centered around the math of our business and understand what our numbers are, so we are bidding jobs appropriately, because we may have to make some small micro changes, and that might include dropping prices in some scenarios. I'm not advocating for that right out of the gate, but I'm going to tell you how to do that and still maintain profitability. So that training will be available to anybody who signs up for free. You're also going to get access to all new trainings as the current events continue to change. We expect that events over the course of the next 30 days are going to be changing on a day-by-day basis. Now, we're not Fox News. We're not going to be blowing up your phone with alerts and everything's going to be major announcements. We're not here to dramatize or over dramatize. We want to see the situation for exactly what it is. We're not out to make it worse than what it is, and we're not out to say there's no problem, everything's fine, this is all just hype. There's a situation. Something's happening. We know that. We see that because if you're in just about any part of this country, or if you have children, Many of you have kids. I have kids that aren't going to school this week. Some are out for multiple weeks, and we don't have the certain, no one's given us a date of when they'll go back. We know that there is going to be more testing done. Test kits aren't available for everybody yet in the country, so it can expect that numbers are going to spike. We know that on some level, and I'm not here to really get political on any level, but remember that news media is designed for ratings. I mean, they want you to watch the news. So there might be, we're trying to have this conversation and take out a couple levels of hype. Also in this program, I'll show you just a printout of it. If we had more time to prepare, I would have done this as a slide, but this is good enough. Also in this program, Entrepreneurship in Uncertain Times, we're going to have some regular Zoom strategy calls. So you'll get a notification saying, hey, on such and such a day, we're going to be having a live call. Tonight, we got about an hour and a half notice, and fortunately, a fair bit of people are able to join in. One of the other things that I've included is a sample proposal and email and the language of bidding and estimating. And this is one of the things that we dive really deep into in our mastermind program, but I want to make sure that you have access to see what does an actual proposal look like that goes out to our clients that wins jobs. That's one of the things that that's one of the powerhouses of my construction company is the written language of a proposal. We all have experienced going out and having that wonderful meeting with a client, and you leave with that feeling of like, I got this job. I mean, you just have a connection. They've already indicated like, how fast can you get us a proposal? When can you start? All the right language is being used. And then you send a proposal out and there may be a disconnect. You want to try to capture as much. I go very detailed in my proposals. So I have included a huge proposal that has like 19 different project sections, so you can really get a good understanding of how to take this. And I'm going to show you this. This is typical. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. This is chicken scratch on a job site, and it was raining the day I did this, so I mean half of my stuff is smudged. But as I was walking through this project, I was already pricing it up in my head about where I would be. I mean, of course, it's not the final bid and estimate, but it was giving me a ballpark. And on this particular job, the reason I did that was because of the current situation and what this client was asking me for. I was already mentally doing the math and saying, this project's going to be over $75,000. So before I go back to my office and spend 6.5 hours pouring through a spreadsheet and adding this all up, I wanted to float a budget by them. And I wanted to find out, do you have the money? Are you caught up in the latest hysteria? Are you actually going to say yes to this project? But the need was there. It's a huge yard leveling project, a couple large retaining walls, tons of drainage improvements, a lot of grading and excavation work. It's a pretty complex job. And they said, yeah, they made a comment in return. They said, we're going to capitalize on the hysteria and refinance our house. And we got about at most 30 days left. It's in underwriting right now. They're dead serious about moving forward with the project. So that says, yeah, it's all, full steam ahead. Let's get them their proposal right away. One of the things that I do to get proposals right away is I use a transcription service. I've been using it now for quite a while. I've used it for many years, on and off, more on than off. I think it's a very, very valuable way to get proposals out quickly. This past week, prior to Friday, I think it was actually Thursday afternoon or Friday when they made the announcement that like basically the country's shutting down and everyone's going to stay indoors in an abundance of caution to not have this virus spread as little as possible. We had a killer sales week. It was, without this whole virus thing, this would probably be our best spring ever. But I still have not had anybody say no. In fact, got a text messages today from a project we're bidding that's about $45,000, and the homeowner's texting me and saying, "Hey, we've decided to not take this tree out." He sent me some pictures of his backyard with some arrows. It's like, "We're going to move, the patio. Can we bump it out to the left?" I'm like, all the right indications that says they're still ready to move forward. So it's a good reminder to me that there isn't an answer yet to say, will people be pulling back or won't they? I'm glad we're on a Zoom call, because here shortly, I want to give everybody an opportunity to unmute themselves. Tell us, where you are in what part of the country you're from, what you're noticing. The big question that we all have on our mind, and I don't have the answer to this yet, is, have you seen people pull back? Are you feeling pullback? What pain or stress are you feeling? Are you worried about, maybe you're ramping up for spring and you're getting ready to hire uh, a lot of people, and now you're concerned, well, am I going to need all of these people? Certainly the market is changing, at the very least temporarily. um, I'm not, again, an expert to say, and even in fact, the experts don't even know if this is going to be, there's a lot of speculation out here. Here's what I know. Here's what I've know, because I've learned through my own painful mistakes. I've been in business since 2002. I went through the 2007, 8, 9 recession. And I know that fear is one of the things that is very important. It's a head game. It's up here. You will not do or make the best decisions from a position of fear. And being in business for ourselves and worrying about putting food on the table and providing for our families can conjure up a lot of fear, especially in a year where most people have now become accustomed. If you've been in business 3 years or more, you've become accustomed to doubling your sales, adding crews, looking at big jobs, and now all of a sudden there's just like the brakes have been put on. Some of us are struggling to worry about, like, well, how are we going to just take care of our kids? My wife works, I got to go to work. um, do I have to go to work? Are people wanting to even see me on their property? We're all trying to determine this level. We're dealing with the new word in town, which is social distancing. I mean, I love how there's actual terms that come out for this. So I'll talk about that here in just a moment. And there's going to be a couple of different areas that contractors are going to fall into. Some are more prepared than others. Some have set aside cash reserves, have managed their money. They may have 6 months or more of overhead stored up in the bank, and they can weather a month or two or more of a down cycle. There are others that are paycheck to paycheck. I mean, they're job to job, and the cash flow is a very serious concern. You don't want to run out of cash in a time like this. I'll talk to you about a couple other options that exist if you happen to be in that position. But without a doubt, we're here to talk about the number one thing that is absolutely within your control, and that is you. You cannot control what is happening, how long schools will be closed, how long businesses will be closed, how long people will be staying away from public gatherings and public places. It's going to change from area to area. But what you can control is yourself. And this is a time, we've talked about this a lot in the good times about, balance and taking care of yourself. But really, this is a time to take care of yourself. And I know this is, as silly as it may sound to some, I personally take this very seriously. Number one in taking care of yourself is taking care of your immune system. There's viruses going around. You want to make sure that you're taking vitamins, that you're on top of a good, clean diet, that you're washing your hands a lot, that you are respecting this new boundary of social distancing. My opinion is have some fun with it. I literally did my first elbow bump this past weekend. I don't think I've ever done that in the time that I've been in business, but that's the new thing. Have some fun with it. Don't don't fight what is, and respect the fact that people, stand 5 feet away from people instead of 3 feet away from people. Um, Also, when it comes to your money, one of the things that we teach heavily is understanding the pricing components, number one, of everything that you do. It's very important to have a good understanding of the four main pricing components in every small business: the revenue, what your sales are, what it is that you charge your clients for a job, your cost of goods sold, how much are your materials, your equipment, your labor, your overhead. What are you paying for rent? What are you paying for your computers? What are you paying for your owner's salary? And then after you take out your revenue minus your cost of goods sold minus your overhead, you have your net profit left over. And it's a very confusing number because everybody looks at overhead a little bit differently. We offer in-depth courses on how to better understand that, but I want to try to not push and promote heavily, signing up for an in-depth course. One day, today may not be the day. We'd love to have you as a mastermind member, but today and tonight, and the purpose of going live at 9 p.m. on a Sunday is to really address whatever fears, whatever questions you may have, and to get you in the driver's seat this week. Chances are you have your children, if you have children, you have your children at home. So you're probably trying to figure out, well, how do I go manage the jobs that we're already on, meet with some new people, hopefully if they're calling, and keep my kids at home, and because life has changed temporarily. A lot of us that have kids have them in activities. Our daughters do dance, our sons do basketball and baseball, and um, now all of those activities are canceled. So I think there's that an opportunity here, because I know for years I've said, gosh, our kids will, my kids personally, I said that it's just not like the good old days where we went outside and we threw the baseball and played basketball and went to the park. Well, you know what? The silver lining is, for a brief period of time here, it is a little bit like the good old days. We're not so used to it because not everything is so organized and regimented, but it's going to give us a chance to just feel a little more chill, because if I'm being honest, life is fast paced and times are moving fast. So we're going to get a little more family time. We might as well embrace that just a little bit. This is also like a fire drill, a tornado drill. If you've ever, we all grew up and went through elementary and middle school and high school, and we practiced what's going to happen if there's a fire, a tornado, a disaster. Now, my goodness, my kids are practicing active shooting drills. We didn't have that growing up, but there's a protocol for what to do, and none of the protocols in any emergency situation or any situation of uncertainty call for panic. And this is not the time to panic and to sweat and to worry about, like, what if my phone doesn't ring? What if all these new pieces of equipment that I bought in the last few months or years that I'm still making payments on, what if I can't make the payments? What if. Look at what you have in your control right now and be blessed that you're an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of people, that think that, oh, there's so much security in working for another company. You get a 401k, you get a company vehicle, you constantly get a salary. But believe me, these companies, these employees are now being asked to work from home. At least you have the security of being able to go out, at the very least, knock on doors and ask for lawn mowing jobs. I mean, if worse came to worse, you can still do that. But if you're an employee of a big tech company and you get laid off, that could have, then you might be looking to become an entrepreneur, but at least you're already there. So with that, I've kind of opened up with the general state and conditions of what I see. I do have some opinions on whether or not it's going to be a short term or long term. Regardless, I believe there is going to be an immediate uh, impact, because when you look at our shipping ports not being able to bring in as much materials, and hourly wage workers not being able to go to work. I mean, if people aren't going out to restaurants, the wait staff can't go, and the wait staff has rent to pay. And the statistic is more than 70 people, no more than 70% of the people in our country struggle to have $500 in emergency savings. So one of our commitments through Steel Toe University, and we've said it from the day prior when we were Dirt Monkey University, and even now that we're Steel Toe, that's just strictly a name change, is we've always been committed to the fact that we understand contractors are good people. We care about our employees. We care about our community. We don't want to lay people off. We don't want to we don't want to have to make some of the tough decisions that we have to make, and we're talented. But we also have to be good at running our business, and we have to be good at running our financials and understanding our numbers, and we don't want to see people going out of business. So we've created this completely free education. All you have to do is sign up for it. It may end whenever this crisis ends, but we're committed to at least showing up in the public space, and not, we do a substantial amount within our mastermind group, but we want something to give back to see people get through this. So with that, I'll share with you very briefly my background. I am one of the founders of Steel Toe University. I'm the director of education. This was started in about 2016. We started rolling out our educational programs. We've written over 200 courses in how to bid, how to estimate, how to sell, how to take care of yourself, how to balance your life, multitude of subjects. I also run my own full service landscape design build company, and I have been doing that for almost 20 years now. And I've been through a lot of ups and downs, so I have some experience in that, and I'm better prepared to handle this than I was in 2008. But I did get through that as well. So that's a little bit about my background. I would love to open it up and hear some of your questions and some of your struggles. I don't want to just consume all the time by doing all the talking. So with that, I invite anyone to unmute themselves, raise their hand, ask a question. I know we got quite a few people on here tonight. Let's get some conversation going. So I'll be quiet as soon as someone unmutes themselves, because I can tend to ramble too. Larry, how are you this evening?
All right, how you doing, Phil?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining us. What's on your mind?
Just wanted to pass this along. I have had my first, I guess, influence from this. I had an estimate scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay.
The person has called me, and they left a message. I haven't called them back yet, that they have been advised by their doctor not to be, they're one of these ones that she's got a heart condition or something and doesn't want to meet anybody.
Okay.
So what I've decided to do is tomorrow morning, I'm going to call her and say, hey, I'd like to keep the appointment. How about I just come by, and when I get there, I'll call you. You don't even have to come out of the house, and you can walk me through what it is you want, because it's a landscaping job. So it's all outside. I don't have to meet her personally. I digitally send the estimate. I can digitally send the bill. We can do credit card payment. There's no reason that I have to physically be in contact with her.
Right.
So I'm going to still try and do this estimate tomorrow.
Okay. What was her response? Did you hear back?
I haven't. I just got that email. It's a little late to call her or voicemail. I'm going to call her in the morning and see how that works out.
Okay. I love that idea. Um, in fact, I think this is going to give everybody, this is opportunity waiting. Um, I know when I go on a lot of proposals, it's great to meet with people, but sometimes they get lengthy in these extra conversations, and you know, you're building rapport, you're building trust, but you already know that people tend to over explain. When you've seen drainage problems, you usually look at them in 5 seconds. You're like, oh yeah, that downspout needs piped, this needs regraded, you need a dry creek over here. And if you can pull out your phone and take pictures or do a quick video, you can make a video and put it on your YouTube channel and put it in as unlisted or private, and only share that link with the homeowner and say, hey, here I am in your backyard. You know, here's your back downspout. You can do that. This may actually force us to implement systems that speed up the proposal process. This whole social distancing thing, I'd be totally respectful of that. And I think what you did, Larry, or what you're planning on doing is brilliant. That's exactly what I'd recommend. And I think that's a great piece of wisdom. Don't cancel. I mean, fortunately, thank goodness, you know, for the majority of us. Now, I won't say this for everybody, but a lot of us are not interior remodelers. Some of us are, and there's some solutions for that as well, by them taking video and them taking pictures and sending them to you. But respect the fact that, you know, some people don't want us around because they got kids and they don't want to get sick. But Larry, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to ask you to make a post in the group tomorrow and let us know how that proposal goes and if this particular client accepts the invitation. What part of the country are you in?
I am in Maryland.
Okay, so spring is just now ramping up for you, right? You're
Yeah,
kind of
just
like at the
um,
leading edge.
picking up pretty good here.
Okay.
And the whole phone thing is something that, you know, before this even happened, I've done it multiple times by people who couldn't be home, but during the day when I needed to be there, I could just go by and they get on the phone and they walk you by what it is they want. And, you know, I don't ever have to meet them. But on a side note, I've been on 3 estimates and noticed the guys walking around with their hands in their pockets, didn't want to shake hands anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? For now, I would say go with it. I mean, certainly you can't. It's not like I would say give gifts of hand sanitizer, but Lordy, it's $500 on Amazon or whatever it is. So we can't even. You know, that would be. Wouldn't that? I mean, geez, if we had known this a month ago, we. I'll tell you next time, like when it dies down and supplies stock up. Those are great little handouts that you can
And
give.
toilet paper.
Yeah, there you go. Branded toilet paper, man. I mean, seriously, some good ideas are going to come out of this. But I think that's a great idea. So, are you? Give me a level 1 to 10. Like 10, you're super concerned. 1, you have zero concerns. What's your concern or comfort level with what your season's going to look like compared to what you may have thought it was going to look like?
As of right now, I'm not seeing much of an impact at all. I'm
Okay.
signing landscape jobs, you know, like I said, and you understand, we're outside. We're not going to, you know, we don't have to have any real contact with people. The only thing that's going to is I see going to be an impact really is when people who are not making any money and not going to have, you know, projects are going to be put on the back burner.
Right. And when do you think that will be? Like basically, how long do people, I think right now everyone's having a little bit of like, they're cool with it. It's like, oh, you know what? I get a little bit of time to just, the kids don't have to run them to 1,000 activities. I'm still working for home. Most people haven't been laid off. They're just, you know, they're weathering the storm. But if it goes on 30 days, that could be different. I mean, that could,
Yeah.
we know people, a lot of people that are invested in the markets have sold off. I mean, it's just amazing, like the fear and the panic. Of course, spring break is coming up for a lot of people. Cruise lines are being canceled on left and right. Nobody's going. A lot of people aren't going to Disney like they would normally do. They're not going to the big resorts like they normally would. So, we hope it all ends soon. But um, I think also on that same note, and again, I'm not an epidemiologist. Is that the right word? Immunologist. I don't know. I'm a landscaper, so I don't even know the right word. But I do know that flu season is almost over with, and that this will end. It is the 19th version of coronavirus. It has been around for 20 some years. I'm not minimizing it or downplaying it, but again, I want to see things as they are, not worse than they are, not better than they are. I want to acknowledge what they are. And right now, nobody, has said no to me. This past week, we've looked at 3 artificial turf jobs that were over $25,000 a piece. We looked at a $75,000 retaining wall. We looked at a $6,500 cleanup, tree removal, and Dry Creek job. This is a pick. These are my notes. These are my and this is like my chicken scratch. If you can see that, that's a putting green project that we looked at. But I'm just do these drawings on site. They take me 20-30 minutes to do at most, but this is a $27,000 putting green. There's rough, fringe, turf, fire pit area, and the guy's ready to move forward. One thing that I will say is we're going to be doing more free webinars in the public space to get you access to different third-party companies that can help you with marketing your business. They can help you with HR. We did one, you can look at the replay. We did one with Gusto last week on HR, payroll, and benefits. Of course, totally different mindset when we did that one. This hadn't even become an issue yet. We've got one coming up with Send Jim next week that will be hosted here in the public Steel Toe page. We're going to be doing one with a company called Green Sky. I met with them last week. Green Sky is a cool company to look into. They do homeowner financing. They will approve up to $65,000 of credit in seconds. It's super easy to sign up as a contractor. In the years past, we've used companies like Enerbank, ENERBANK. There's a few different companies out there to offer homeowner financing. It's not one of my favorite things to do because it's always been a little bit of a cumbersome process. Green Sky makes it super easy. When your customer gets approved and they'll approve people with as low as 500 credit scores, and not for 65,000, but they may get 8,000, but they can approve it. So check them out. We're going to be doing a webinar with them here in the coming weeks, so you'll learn a lot more about them. But once they get approved, you can almost immediately get your 50% down payment or project deposit, which I do recommend you get project deposits, especially now. If you're not in the habit of getting 50% deposits, I would get in the habit of it. But even if you take a 10% deposit, you want a financial commitment because your job may be 3-4 weeks out. And the last thing you need is them canceling on you. So thank you for sharing that, Larry. I really appreciate that. And I think that's a great piece of wisdom, is to really get into the habit of saying, we're cool with just coming out. And now what plays into that is, and I haven't done this with my own website, I intend to do it this week, is to put a coronavirus policy update on the front page of your website, and where you just acknowledge, in light of social distancing, in light of the fact that we want to be respectful of your family, we are no longer shaking hands. It's not because we don't like you, but we're happy to do an elbow bump. We're happy to stand 5 feet away. We're even better than that. We're happy to walk around your yard and just talk this out through the phone. Once you see the property and once they understand the property and you can do pictures and Skype and FaceTime and YouTube videos, there's a whole lot of ways to share information with people that don't involve them being up in your personal space. And you may not, if you got kids, you may not want to bring anything home either. So, but thank you for sharing that. Who else in the group has some questions, concerns, ideas, wisdom? Let's share. I mean, we're all in the same boat and we all are looking for some answers. Anyone else would like to unmute themselves and ask a question or have something to add to the conversation? I could call on people too. So, Matt, how are you? I see your video there. I'm going to pick on you. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. What part of the country and what's your business model? What type of services are you providing? What have you seen and noticed?
Yeah, we're actually located in Cumming, Georgia. Been in business since 2008.
Okay.
And yeah, been in the landscape industry pretty much my whole life. My father, he has an irrigation outdoor lighting company. You may have heard of them, called Sweetwater Irrigation and Outdoor Lighting.
Jeez, Matt, we got to get together. I'm right in your neighborhood, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I actually found out about you through a guy that I've known for a long time too, named Josh Surgeon with Absolute Lawn Coat.
Oh my gosh, I've known Josh for many years, and God, he and I are best friends. Josh is a wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so cool, man. We're like next door neighbor. You're the competition. I got to say, no, I'm just kidding. That's so of course I know Sweetwater Irrigation. Yes.
Yeah, no, you're a lot more ahead of the game than me. But no, it's it's been a great year. Like I said, we started in 2008, and every year's gotten better. I've got 7 guys that work for me full time. We do maintenance and installation, and as of right now, maintenance is strong. I don't see anybody dropping there. Unless like some other guys were talking about, if people are losing their jobs or something and they have to start cutting back on expenses and things like that, I could see that and, maybe tapering a little bit, but, installs, we're several weeks out on install work, getting jobs done. So yeah, this has been a really, despite all the rain, I don't know if anybody else got a lot of rain all over the country, but it's been rainy here. But other than that, I see it being a great year.
Good. Well, I'm happy to meet a neighbor. What's the name of your business?
Southern Signature Landscape.
Okay, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
We got to get together and have some coffee there. That's so cool.
Yeah, man.
Please reach out to me, info@Saris Landscaping. Feel free to send me a message, and would love to get together with you. I mean, we know all of the same people in the same area.
Yeah.
So, and yes, we've been battling the rain like crazy. And no, that's the funny thing. What you're saying is some of the battle sometimes is more in our head than in reality. That's the point I'm trying to make about seeing things as they are, but not worse than they are. Nobody has said no. Do you have, when you do these quotes and these bids, am I thinking in the back of my mind, like, gosh, I hope you don't say no? I mean, there's a part that goes through your head, but you just keep driving forward with and provide the very best service you can, the very best customer service, eliminate as many of their fears that they have. But I think right now, so far, everybody recognizes that the protocol of keeping kids away and shutting things down is temporary to limit the spread of a virus that we know will come to an end. And I'm not even going to get into, like, we've all heard stories about, we know the actual real flu is killing a lot more people. But again, I don't want to minimize it, get into like a whole political debate about it. And I'm certainly not the CDC and an expert to speak on it. But I think this is going to be a shorter term thing, but I think it's going to hurt for some people, especially those folks that are doing hourly work and can't go to work right now. But on the landscaping side, jobs are still selling. So I really appreciate that. I'm happy you're on the call. Thank you for being part of it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just we were finishing up dinner with the family, and saw your email. I got your email came through, so I was like, hey, let me I've been getting some of your content for a while, and I was like, let me join in on this call tonight.
Well, I'm glad you did. Look, we are all in the same industry. It helps us to help each other. I didn't come on here because I wanted to preach and say, here are all the answers I have. I wanted to learn about what you guys are experiencing in different parts of the country and see. I'm taking the purpose of tonight is to take the temperature. Where's everybody at? How's everybody feeling? To give something for free. So that's that whole, this entrepreneurship in uncertain times, because some of us have been there, some of us haven't, especially businesses that started after '08. A lot of it has been growth, and we're buying and we're expanding. I want to make one fundamental point very, very clear, and this is my own belief and business philosophy, is that I love seeing companies grow, but not at the expense of your bottom line profit. And I think one of the weaknesses in amongst contracting is we're really good at our craft and our skill. We're talented with what we do. But when we start to see fast growth, we lose sight of numbers. So cash is moving in and out, and we're selling jobs and we're staying booked out. And then we get to the end of the month and we're like, man, all this money moved, but where did it all go? Because I still feel like I'm broke. It's not in the bank account. So the foundation of what I teach came out of my own painful experience of learning how hyper focused you have to be on the bottom line. And it's not easy. It takes really getting a good understanding of overhead, which some of these things are like MBA style principles. They go against the grain of what your CPA or accountant will tell you, because I'm a big fan of profit first. If you're not familiar with that, look it up, Mike Michalowicz. I know generally accepted accounting principles, which is GAAP, GAAP, says that businesses take their revenue minus their expenses equals their profit. Well, Mike Michalowicz with Profit First kind of flipped that on upside down and says, no, businesses should take their revenue, then take their profit, and then manage their expenses within a controlled window. So this is a time where I've seen over the last couple of years, and I'm 100% guilty of this myself, is, a little bit of excessive spending. I go to Costco and I'm like, oh crap, there's bungee cords. I need some bungee cords. Let me throw those on there. So, you just stupid stuff. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go for the upgraded tires. I'm going to, why not just get it? Now it's the time, just watch. You should do this all the time. But when business is rolling, we get a little bit more loose with our dollars. So this is in this course, in this training that you'll receive, this micro changes training that you'll receive. I talk all about the little tweaks that you can make. It's not, when you want more money out of a job, it's one way is to charge the customer more, but there are many jobs we take and we're not, it used to be, we're going to be the highest price, but we're going to provide the most value. I will tell you, we are often higher priced, but we're not always the highest price. In fact, I'd say there are many occasions we're in the middle of everybody else's bid, but we can make more money on a project because of this micro changes, because my overhead is like laser efficient low. Our efficiency in just how we run a project. I mean, you got to think, if you're doing a 2-pallet paver job and you only need a pallet and a half. Well, that extra half a pallet, you find your guys hand loading it onto the truck at the end of the job. They go back to the shop, they hand unload it onto the shop. And I've learned, like, okay, if I'm going to have a half a pallet left over, I want to upfront talk to the homeowner about them keeping the material. I'm going to say, I have a half pallet left over. If you keep the material and we can stack it on site, it's one cost. If we load it and haul it away, it's another $300 for hauling away that extra material, because we know we got to handle it. But that makes the difference in a 32% profit versus a 24% profit. I mean, it's all these little micro details. So I really appreciate you being on here and sharing that, and that's a good positive sign. Jobs are selling, and I'm seeing that too. So thank you. So
Thank you, Phil.
yeah, no problem. And definitely I'd like to reach out to you locally here, since you're local, and hook up with you and get some coffee. But so who else on here do we have that's got some questions, some that they'd want to get answered, or is anyone experiencing any pain, trouble? Have they lost a job because of what's happening? How has it impacted your family? I see a bunch of people on here. If anyone wants to go ahead, just unmute yourself, talk. Look, we're all in the same thing. Don't be shy. There's no wrong or bad question. How about you, Eric? I see you on here. And you have any questions for us? And I know it takes a second sometimes to find the unmute. If you're looking to unmute yourself, it's usually the lower left-hand corner of the screen, or in the icon, you can click the unmute button. Chris, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Phil. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing wonderful. It's good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, man. About time I can catch one of these.
Well, I'm glad you can. I mean, we thought we'd do them during the weekday, and Callie and I talked, and we're like, you know what? Let's just do it tonight. So everyone's
with baseball kicking off a couple weeks ago, it's been hard for me to get on here, but now they postponed everything until April. So
I know. That stinks.
Frustrating. All the kids were so excited. Now we can't even practice.
I know. I'm in the same boat, man. How old are your kids?
I've got a 5-year-old that's playing and a 10-year-old that's playing. Then my daughter, she does choir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tough. It's tough because if you're like me, I look at the schedule and I think, I've got a daughter that does volleyball, another one that does cheer, and my son does baseball. And you look at the schedule and you think, man, how am I going to get to all these places and juggle it all? And then in an instant, the schedule's just wiped out, and we're out to, just playing in the yard and trying to make that happen. So I feel bad. I feel bad for the kids. It's as important now to also, we have our own business things that we're worried about, but we got to engage now I'm finding I've got to engage with my kids, sit them down, and they got fears. They don't know what everything is. Why is everything canceled all of a sudden? So, we got to have a discussion about what it is. And it's kind of forcing me to come up with answers, and like how to talk to a 12-year-old versus my 8-year-old is a completely different conversation. But so how are you doing at all?
We're doing good, man. We're getting ready to start mowing. I'm going to try to start mowing this week. I haven't lost any jobs from this at all. I actually sold 6 yards last week.
Nice.
And I've got a landscaping job I'm going to look at in the morning. And also I've got an interview I'm doing in the morning. Finally, I think I found my unicorn. So how many times we say that though, and it falls through, but I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to get the season started, and I'm trying to make this as much of a positive thing as we can. and quit dwelling on the negative part of it and just keep pushing forward.
Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you balance that with, so first of all, let me ask one question. Is it the person you're hiring, is it on the production side, office, or sales?
It'll be maintenance and labor.
Okay.
Basically, for now, I'm really looking for somebody that can replace me in the next probably 6 months.
Okay.
3 to 6 months. We've got a lot of bids going out actually tomorrow morning on some of the local schools. We're bidding on 17 of the local schools and
Wow.
also a local courthouse. I will not take all of them on. That's way too much. But they broke it up in the regions. So I'm hoping to get maybe 3 to 4 schools.
Okay.
And I'll have to have a guy that can replace me to where I've been in business 6 years, and I need to focus on getting out of the truck.
Yes.
And working on the business, not working in it. So
Yeah,
that's my
tough
goal.
trying to wear all the hats sometimes.
Yeah. What was that, Matt?
Yeah. No, I was just saying it's tough trying to wear all the hats sometimes. So
Oh yeah, man. I'm running a business. I'm coaching both baseball teams that my boys are playing on, and yeah, and keeping the wife happy and all that other stuff. That's just, it's hard to do sometimes. But I have good friends, good family. My wife's really understanding. It took a while, but she learned, and she's very loving and supportive with what my vision is, and really the ultimate goal is where God's taking us.
I think that is, I think that's the foundation of what we have, is having a plan of where you're going, having the support, and not everybody has that. I mean, there are some people that don't have that support. There are some people that have tensions at home. There are some people that have difficulties with their children, or their children are older, and not only are they trying to manage some uncertainty in their business, they're trying to manage some uncertainty in personal relationships or parenting situations. So that's definitely a blessing, and gratitude is a huge part of our mental state. And going to bed and understanding that, like, there are people that literally can't go 2 days without working and make their rent payment. And we do have a lot to be grateful. It may not be the banner month that we wanted, but I certainly think that so far, I'm keeping notes here, and 4 people have said they're not impacted yet and haven't had people say no to a job. But that's the point of getting on here early. And I think we should be talking once a week and having these conversations just to check the pulse of what's going on. And then daily, our practice needs to be that gratitude. And I get it. You sound like, family first, and you coaching your kids. Yeah. I mean, I don't miss anything for my kids. I love coaching their teams. It doesn't make it easy. In fact, this solved a lot of scheduling problems for me this month. It's like, man, kind of a break. I mean, I feel bad.
Yeah, I felt kind of felt a little relieved by it, but then I'm like, man.
Yeah, I get it. So they'll be back to their activities. I mean, this is a preventative thing to help prevent the spread of something, and it will work to a degree, but numbers are going to go up because they're going to test more. So there's going to be a certain amount of hype. But the eventual thing to recognize is, if we learn it, for a lot of us that are prepared, there's already cash in the bank. We can scale back. We're not over leveraged on huge equipment payments. But if you're one of those people out there that just ramped up and you just bought a whole bunch of equipment, hired a whole bunch of people, I understand how much fear there can be in that. Like, oh my God, I just got, maybe you just bought a property for the first time, and you've been waiting all these years, and you finally landed a deal, and you got 2 or 3 acres of property, and you might be feeling some fear right now. Hang in there. There are logical solution. There are other more drastic measures that you can take through SBA. There's other things that you can do. But before you go there, just understand that so far people are saying right now it's still weird, but business is kind of as usual. So, Chris, I'm glad to hear that that's the way it's going for you.
Yeah.
So glad to hear that that your wife is so supportive. That helps a lot.
Oh, yeah, tremendously. It took me a couple of years to figure that out, man. I'm working daylight to dark, and the kids be going to bed when I walk in the door, and I wasn't seeing them at all. But I just made the conscious decision that, I'm going to be home by 5 or 6 every day.
Yeah.
I want to be home to help get them in bed, to eat dinner with them, and, just to be here for them. The work could be there tomorrow.
How do you balance your bids? Like when do you go out on estimates?
I try to do all my estimates like on Saturday.
Okay.
If I can. If it's something like pressing, I'll just run by on the way home or before I come home. A lot of times I take my family with me.
Yeah.
And they go with me. My son will go, man, he can sell a job faster than I can. So he's a salesman, and he's only 5 years old, but the people fall in love with him before I even give them a price. They're like, well, when are you going to come do it?
Yeah, that's great.
So I realize that sometimes I have used that, but he goes, if I've got a hard week or if I'm doing a large sod job or something, they'll come out and help me.
Yeah.
And that little boy can carry sod better than some grown men can.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The lessons they're learning are invaluable. I mean, that's just the work ethic, and they're seeing dad hustle and work. It's tough. I mean, it's tough but it's so rewarding that it's within your control to go out and drive that business, and the lessons that you're teaching them are great.
Yeah. And that's a lot of my why, that's why I do this, is because I can't go out and work at a factory somewhere and my family come help me at work.
Right.
And, that's a lot of my why, is because they can come spend time with me at work.
Right.
So
that's cool. And you can be there for everything. It's your own hours. I mean, you're probably still working crazy hours, but my kids, I put them to bed, and then I do proposals. I will say this. You brought up one key thing. I want to replace myself, which is what everybody's goal is to do, is to replace themselves. You have 3 categories in your business that you have to look at sooner or later replacing yourself: production, sales, and your office. Those 3 things, like your office is following up on leads, sending emails, being responsive in a very, very timely manner, trying to take as many phone calls as you can, and give that, people they pick up the phone, they're like, hey, I'm calling about my product, and they just go right into it. They don't care that you're like out on a job site and you're telling the guys to like kill the saws and run into your truck to get a quiet spot. They're just start talking about the job, and you're like, all of a sudden your day's interrupted. But if you can, most people will make that first replacement on the production side. The next placement is in the office. Now, years ago, that meant having somebody come into your office for a set amount of hours, whether it was, part-time, 30 hours a week, or full-time, and answering the phones morning to night, doing your marketing and sending your emails. It is so flippin' easy to have a virtual office assistant now. That's exactly what I have.
Yeah.
I transcribe my proposals. They're updating my social media. They can follow up on leads, but I can give access to my Google My Business page, my YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, Home Advisor. You can limit QuickBooks. So she can log into QuickBooks, but she doesn't have to see all the financial data, but she can create an estimate. It took me about 2 days to train her how to do that. We sat down for like 2 8-hour days. So now what I do is I use the voice memo app on my phone, and I have literally, I go through and on these $25,000 job. I mean, it doesn't matter what size the job is, but I literally have voice memos for this. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. This is a this is nice. This is 121 Fernwood Drive, but it will auto-populate all of that because what I read, I would change it to the one that I have. It is Y, the letter Y, Reno. So it's Y. Let me get into the proposal. Project number 1, front island planting bed. So, okay, so you see what I'm doing. Like I'm thinking it through, and so as soon as I got done with that job, I went right down the street, parked in the cul-de-sac, and I sent that to her. The next day, the proposal went out. If I had waited, here's what screws me.
Wow.
I wait, and then I get home, and I got like all this good energy about her job. Like, we're feeling it. I know she wants to say yes. And then there are the kids, and there's baseball practice, and there's dinner, and then it's 9:30 at night, and my eyes are like, I say, no way am I doing a proposal. So then you set the alarm, like, okay, tomorrow morning, man, I'm going to knock this thing out. But you're back at work, you're back cutting lawns, and then like it's been 2-3 days, and then you get a text from them saying, hey, where's the proposal? And you're already starting to lose value and you lose trust.
Yep.
So I am a huge fan of having somebody transcribe your proposals. It is much easier than you think to train somebody. I would say on average, whether you pay them hourly or per proposal, I've done both. The going rate, I mean, you can probably find somebody for anywhere from $20 to $30 a proposal. So do you think like on a $7,000 job, it's worth paying $25? Of course it is. I mean, just it's done. And then you go through, and what I had to learn at the beginning was you got to spell everything out. Like if when you're telling them that you're going to install a Goshiki Holly, you got to make sure, it's a number 3 gallon number, use the pound sign, you got to spell it out, tell them what to capitalize. But after about 5 or 6 of them, they get it. They get where to indent, how to do it, and they start. So I check them, but after a while, you don't even have to check them. And you give them the email address, you give them the price, and they're sent out. And you did the proposal in the morning, and that afternoon, sometimes they have them in their inbox, and then you can follow up. Man, it's just an easy way to speed up your sales process. So first, you get that key person on the production side that can take over for you. It may not last. You can always be cycling, but sometimes you'll hit that unicorn and get that person that sticks around for years. I've been fortunate, and I've got a wonderful crew. I just keep paying them more, and they're talented.
Yep.
And try to pay them to not go anywhere else and work. But so good. Glad to hear from you. Thank you for contributing.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
Who else is out there that's got some questions? I don't want to go all night, but I do want to make sure we get your questions answered and at least start setting the stage for this conversation through whatever this situation brings and for however long it lasts. Kenny, I see you on there. I love putting people on the spot. How are you? You want to unmute yourself and let us know where you're from and what questions you may have? I can unmute you too if you want. All right. I unmuted you, but if you need to mute yourself, that's okay. All right. I can't hear you. Is that on my end? Chris, can you still hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Is that you, Kenny? That was Matt. All right. Give it a shot. If you're having a problem with it, I'll come back to you. Ethan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Where are you from? What part of the country?
St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Okay. So you're not quite at spring, or you're just now ramping up for it?
No, it's been pretty cold, and we've got potential snowfall this week. So it's, I would say, pretty typical. People are, kind of not really rolling forward until it gets nicer out. We
Okay.
do probably 85% residential lawn care maintenance.
Okay.
So a little slower until you get that week of warm weather, and then people start to pick up. But all our previous customers that have been with us are continuing to sign up.
Okay. Guys, I'm hearing a lot of positivity, and I love that. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of good things. I think we all jumped on the call with the same thought. Like, there's what's gonna what's gonna happen, but I think overall the undertone is very positive, and I'm glad to hear that. Do you have any concerns about this year? Do you have anything? Do you have a sales goal that's higher than last year? Have you looked at your numbers and said, here's what I want to do this year or expand into?
Yeah, so not necessarily a sales goal, but maybe vision. I've done my lawn business from 2008 until last year part-time. I was a full-time manufacturing engineer at a aerospace and medical company, and last year went full-time and had a great year, and was fully booked. I couldn't take on any more by myself, so I want to hire an employee and expand some of my equipment, get a larger dump truck for some of the lawn care. And so, trying to navigate, does that still stay on the plan, or do you kind of feel out what it does and make that change, as you move forward? So.
Okay. So first year in business, you went fully booked. Everyone's
Yep.
going to want to know, well, what's your secret? How did you go first year in business? Where were you getting leads from? How did you do that to getting leads? Like where was your big lead source?
Well, first, I would have to say that being part-time, working in a regulated industry for many years, medical and aerospace, you learn that the processes, procedures, the systems are very important, especially in AS 9100 regulated industries. You have to have a process. And so I carried that into my lawn care business and built the processes up. So it became quick for me to be able to turn around leads to people or sales to people and convert them. And so it was a lot of word of mouth, a lot of Facebook, and a lot through organic traffic through my website. And, just a kind of a collaborative environment working together, listening to the customer and hearing what their needs are, and then, adopting that vision rather than trying to sell them a vision, asking them the important questions of what's important to them, helping them find that goal. Granted, lawn care, but that turns into mulch installations and fertilization, and can expand from there once you gain their trust.
You just said about 5 to 6 really super important things, and the systems that, and I have no doubt that the systems that you learned to work with when you were doing manufacturing and the processes is what makes the difference. You talked about listening to your customers and letting them tell you what's important to them. And so often we're so excited about the things that are important to us, and you're really focused on them. And those processes are exactly what helped me build my company, was like just looking and standardizing things. Like, okay, well, change orders aren't going to be just loosey goosey. You know, we're going to have a change order form. We're going to have a system for marking out your utilities, a communication plan, what you can expect from us. You know, here's when you say you'll get a proposal in 24 to 48 hours, that's when you get your proposal. If it's not, we can communicate with that. We have a system when we get backlogged on projects, and we get 4, 6, 8 weeks out into the spring. Every Friday, I communicate with every open project and I give them an update. I'm actually looking at this year making it a more automated private backdoor access to like a client portal. Now I do it through phone calls or text or email, but I'm actually looking at creating a client portal this year where they can log on and see as a calendar where their project is at. Because, you know, of course, when Matt, you're here in our area, you know, we've been hammered by the rain. So the first bright sunny day you get, everybody that's been waiting is like, you're going to be at my house, right? No, I'm not. We're backed up a little bit, but if you're ahead of that and you over communication wins. I do have a question for you.
Yep.
You mentioned your website.
Yep.
And you mentioned organic. First year website, organic. Is it a WordPress site that you're on?
No, so I worked through a couple different companies. So I didn't have luck. I actually used 2 different companies and they didn't work out. And I found this third company. So I invested quite a bit, 2 years part-time to try to gain some more clients, and third website company found a pretty good one, and they did everything they said that they were going to do, and it was successful, and very happy with that. The other 2 were, you know, strikeouts. They really didn't do much. So
Yeah, you have that sometimes, but I've said in other webinars, I'm a huge fan of organic traffic. When people ask, where should I put my marketing? No matter what, always be funneling dollars into page 1. Being on page 1 organically of Google is great. Referral business is great. Outside of that, lots of other things work, door hangers and, you know, different Facebook ads, but nothing will be organic search engine ranking. So good for you, man. Thank you for sharing that. And I wish you the very best this season. And I hope to hear a lot more. You got a lot of wisdom. So please keep sharing that with the group.
yeah, I'm hopeful that, you know, as you know, not only our country, but humanity, people will pull together, and you know, we'll get through some rough water. But, you know, even as suppliers, if we lean on each other, you know, maybe there's subcontracting work out there for people that aren't getting calls coming in. You know, maybe someone's really busy and needs that, can't get that labor, but you know, you can outsource and subcontract for people. You know, there's lots of opportunities. We just have to get creative.
I love that. You're right. Thank you for sharing that. And I like your comment on humanity. This isn't about us going out and buying up all the hand sanitizer and hoarding it and selling it on Amazon. And there's those people that will chase the storms and try to take advantage of that. And certainly you can do that, but there's karma in all of that. And I will tell you, the winning formula is sharing with everybody. So in our mastermind group, we have several hundred members, but on this public page, we've got, I don't know, 19,000 followers. And this is a time to not go out there, and there's a time, and you'll see us, we market our mastermind, we market, you know, come join us, we do a lot, but this is a time to just talk to the end, have a conversation with each other. We are all out to do the entrepreneurial thing, and most of us, almost all of us that I've met, care deeply. We don't want to lay off employees. We don't want to have a bad season, not because so much of the impact it has on us, because it's our families, it's our communities, it's we serve these clients. We don't want to, we want to continue to serve people. So that's why as a group we're coming together, and I think there's a lot of positivity in this. So thank you for sharing that. Yes, it's about how we treat each other.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that feedback, and congratulations to you. I mean, you're kicking ass a year out of the gate. So message this guy. I mean, ask him what he's doing. You know, keep getting these great ideas. Who else? Who else is out there that's got something burning on their mind? Dirk, I always call on you. I can't leave you out of this. You know I can't. Dirk, by the way, is in our mastermind group. So he's on our calls every week, and I always pick on him. So how are you, Dirk?
Oh, not too bad, man. Can you hear me all right through these headphones?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. They're great.
Awesome, man. Well, we're in Ohio, so we have actually had school suspended for the next month, and apparently just tonight they've even closed bars and restaurants. So that's kind of another massive step. And will be an adjustment. But so far as the business is concerned, I brought everybody back full time this past Monday. So we're full bore ahead. I haven't seen any negative effects. We've had a few communication issues with some retirement communities just that are concerned about the spread of the virus. But, full speed ahead, got the guys back, and we're pumped up. And everybody came back as customers this year. We re-signed everybody, and I'm about 80% maintenance, so we're good to go. We're super excited.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I think this makes everybody feel more comfortable. I mean, I think, we're hearing a consistent theme amongst everybody, and who knows, that may, the reason I wanted to do this, and I want to continue to do this, frequently over the course of the next 30 to 60 days, is so we all stay positive. Some of us are going to get in a funk. Some of us are going to feel afraid. It's good to know what your peers are thinking. It's good to check the pulse and find out what's happening. What we hear in the media is not always what's going on at ground level. The people that are making the big decisions about our government, about what to shut down and how to treat this this pandemic, is it's different from the people that are putting food on the table and are trying to keep our employees working and busy. And I feel very positive about where the conversation is going tonight. So this is all very good news. I don't want to keep everybody up too late on a Sunday night. It is 10:15 Eastern time. Dirk, what part of Ohio are you from? I think I asked you this before.
We're kind of central Ohio. I'm about 60 miles east of Columbus, little town called Zanesville.
Okay, yeah, I grew up in Akron, so I'm
okay, right on.
Yeah. So
I buy all my snow removal equipment out of there. So.
Okay, all right. Where the Goodyear blimp is, the rubber capital of the world. Yes. So that was ground zero for me getting in trouble as a child. But my first landscaping job was just in Hudson, Ohio. So I was
right on.
Yeah, I don't think I was a very good employee back then. Man, we spread a lot of mulch, but you learn.
Oh, yeah.
Karma has paid me back on that a couple of times, but well, gentlemen, we're probably going to wrap it up for tonight. I do want to make sure that you know that this, if you sign up for this is free, no strings attached. I would love it if everybody was a member in our mastermind group. We do a lot of really cool stuff in there. We're growing, we're expanding. We have courses that go super in depth into understanding these numbers. I give you like the roadmap to how I turn these. This is 20 years of chicken. This is still how I do proposals, and these things turn into like 20, 30, 40, $50,000 jobs. I'm not saying, doing it to brag. It's just like the systems are in place. But for now, don't worry about joining. If it's not your time, it's not your time. We just want you to get through this and know that this group is your peers. This is a way to connect at a free level. And I encourage you guys to get on there, post your successes, your failures, things that are working, things that are not. I've gotten some great ideas from all of you, but it sounds like we're all family people. Okay, Chris, don't worry about keeping anybody quiet. I got
No,
three.
I was going to input real quick. I was trying to keep him quiet.
No.
If anybody's not on the Dirt Monkey side, it's probably the Mastermind Group. It's probably the best investment I made in my business in the past 3 years. And so I'll just throw that out there.
Thank you for that. I will send you the gift card right after this.
Okay. Yeah.
No, my kids have ended up in more Zoom calls and more webinars. There is one video that I will post. I've posted in the past. It was a CNN anchor being interviewed. Hey, buddy. How are you? You're on live. The whole world is watching you. You're a star. Hello.
Sorry, Phil. Thanks.
No, it's cool. My kids I told you, my kids have interrupted more webinars. Anyway, quick story. The CNN anchor was this guy was an expert on China, and this was like 2 years ago, and CNN interviewed him, and he was clearly in his home office. Next thing you know, the door opens, his kid comes rolling in on a stroller. The wife like dive tackles him, and he's like so embarrassed. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, this happened on live TV, but it's viral. I mean, it's got millions and millions of views. I'll ask Callie if you can please remember to post that. It's absolutely hilarious. So this is real life. Our kids are home. Sometimes they get on and just make them a star for the moment. Let them have fun. But with that, everybody, I'm going to say good night and good luck, and keep running hard, and let's just keep selling and closing jobs. We'll keep the communication line open, and please feel free to follow that link below and get some free stuff. And we'd love to see you in the mastermind whenever the time is right for you. And with that, I will say good night. Matt, get a hold of me. We'll talk.
Sounds good.
All right, my friends. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining in. Good night, everybody.